We are beginning the final module for this course, and in many respects, what we will be doing for the next 2 weeks is really leading you ahead into what will come afterward in classes to come, and especially the Action Research Project that will conclude your graduate program. So we have two major activities that are coming up in this module, both of which are designed with that Action Research Project in mind to give you some things to work with when you get to that point. In week one, we're going to be creating what's called a research repository. And in week two, you'll be engaging in writing a paper called The Story I Want to Tell. Now, these two assignments should be considered as connected to one another because indeed they are connected to one another. For the research repository, what I will want you to do is to collect 12 journal articles, scholarly articles, that are related to an educational topic of interest to you. Now, this is a topic, an issue that you think you might want to explore further in an Action Research Project. The nature of that topic is really up to you. What is relevant for your practice, what is of interest to you personally and professionally, that is what we want to pursue. I would assume at this point your ideas are pretty general and pretty undefined, and that's probably where they should be at this point. You're just beginning your studies, so your ideas will be pretty ill-defined and general at this point, and there's nothing wrong with that. So the kind of journal articles that you'll be looking at will likely kind of reflect the nature of your ideas. So you might want to throw the net wide and catch a variety of different journal articles that are in some way relevant to what you're looking at. Now, the idea of this research repository is to allow you to begin to create a bank of resources that you might use later for literature review in the Action Research Project. Your Action Research Project will include a chapter that just reviews the previous literature, much like a journal article that has a literature review included with it. Your Action Research Project will too, but it will be much more involved than what you find maybe in a journal article. So to give you something to use and maybe develop later on as you go ahead in your graduate program, we're going to create this research repository in week number one. And again, it includes 12 journal articles of your choosing. Now, to assist in developing that, I've put the assignment on Foxtel as a Word document, so you can copy and paste, if you will, this little table that I have included that we'll use as our template for how to create the repository. Now, you'll notice that at the top it just has one sentence of what your research interest may be, the topic of interest that you would like to explore further. And beyond that, then we have the table itself and divided into columns and rows. And in the columns, there are 5 different columns. And I like you to follow this template as closely as you can. You can finesse it the way you want to. If there's some other things you'd like to include that would be helpful to you as you build this bank of material that you'd like to use later on. But essentially, you'll list the 12 different articles, put them in APA format, and then identify what the research question, the problem statement, if you want to think of it that way, for that particular journal article. The type of methodology, as best as you understand, which was used in that particular journal article. What the general findings were, you don't have to elaborate greatly, but more or less what the findings were. And then maybe a brief analysis on what your takeaway from the article happened to be, or how this might assist you. Now, remember that this is actually not just to fulfill a requirement for this course. This is for your benefit. This is for something you can use later on when you get to the Action Research Project, and also the other classes as well. This is something that you want to keep reinventing the wheel. You can go back to this repository and look at articles and build upon it. You'll probably be adding more to it, and it's going to make your life a lot easier when you get to the Action Research Project itself by having this resource available to you. So that's the idea. If you have any questions, email me, and on the follow-up video, I'll talk to you about the second assignment for week number 2, the story I want to tell.